Yeah, let's do this. NoLaughTrack podcast. Here we go. Episode 97. Thank you, Circle of Heat, for the music we play at the beginning of every show. My name's Justin Severson. I get to host this thing. Very thankful for that, especially for my two guests who have been here before, and I'm happy to have you back, Tim Slagle and Pete Lee. Hey. Part of the Tim Slagle Presents, now presenting Crash and Burn. Did I get that right?
Yes, it's Tim Slagle Presents Crash and Burn 3.
I heard it was
Tim
Crash,
Slagle.
Tim, and Slagle Burn.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's all this week. I'm Tim, Crash and Burn Slagle.
Yeah.
Tim, the third.
Just completely integrated into it.
One of you's Crash, the other is Burn.
That'd be a good morning show.
Wake up with Crash and Burn!
It's Crash!
Hey!
I'm Crash. He's Burn.
Third degree burn.
There'd be like a sizzling sound effect, like.
Oh yeah! Every time Burn talks, there's a sizzle in the background.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah.
Now there's two guys in Des Moines, Iowa, collecting unemployment. They're listening to the podcast, going, that's really a good one. That's a great idea. That's a good hook.
I imagine like the crash would be like that that sound effect, and then it'd be like. Yeah, like that would be the sound effects for the Crash and Burn.
I actually did have I took driver's ed in St. Paul, Minnesota, and the teacher's his nickname was Crash, and been going by that for 25 years.
What?
Yeah. Supposedly one of the best in town. So I think it's because he knew how to crash a car and survive.
You know that guy was at the tavern right after he got done teaching driver's ed.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time. It's like, oh, these kids are killing me.
Driving home with the wheel on using the accelerator and brake on the wrong side.
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember those cars with that wheel and that brake. Like, oh God. There's nothing that makes you feel less in control of a car than when somebody just has the power to steer away and stop you.
When you're hitting the gas and it's stopping because the other guy knows you need to stop.
Yeah. You actually had the two steering wheel cars?
Yeah, we had that. It was in Wisconsin when you went out, like, because we could go in the parking lot through the cones and stuff and do drills and stuff. And I mean, I hit so many cones. And then I remember when we got in the real car that could go out on the real streets, the other guy had the wheel and the brake. And I was terrified because I was like, that's there because it's needed right now.
And that was just a few years ago, right?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Congratulations.
2 years ago.
I never thought they actually had the cars with the two steering wheels. I always thought that was just a Lucy Show episode.
Oh, no, in Wisconsin they had it.
Oh,
and
we just had the brakes. Yeah, that's all the instructor had was the brake, and it always seemed to me like it was a little lacking.
Yeah,
it was kind of like the cord in a train that you pull to stop it. It's like by the time you yank that cord, you're probably in too much trouble.
Yeah, you're gonna be the last. You're gonna be the second person to brake before you die. Essentially. But yeah, the steering wheel that the instructor had wasn't like a normal steering wheel. It almost looked like one of the steering wheels that they have on a bumper car. That it had like a big padded thing on it, and it was like affixed to the dashboard. So he had to be like really like leaning forward into the steering wheel to do it.
If it's anything like the steering in a bumper car,
yeah,
it's not the best.
It's great.
Yeah, a little loose.
Yeah, how do you have power steering to two steering wheels? One of them has to not be power steering.
I don't know. I don't know. But you're here. You guys are here. I'm here to talk about Crash and Burn to begin with.
Yeah,
it's how many years, Tim?
This is the third year we're doing it.
Third year. Explain it quickly for people who don't know.
The gist of it is that we. You think I'd have it more on the tip of my tongue? Is because we're comics and we're working all the time, and the getting booked back depends on your performance. We really don't have that much opportunity when we're doing shows to write. So Acme has actually afforded us the opportunity to write 20 minutes. We have four headliners, and we're all going to try to write 20 minutes. But the stipulation is you got to write 20 minutes. There's no one is allowed to do any material that they've ever done on stage before. So it's last night was completely fresh. It was the first time any of these subjects had ever been, or at least the jokes themselves have ever been told on stage.
And it's you two, and then Tracy Ashley and Tim Bedore.
Yes,
yep.
Correct. Last year Who it was?
Last year was Emily Galati.
Oh yeah,
Mike Lucas.
Yeah.
And
was it Tim Harmston?
Tim Harmston.
That's
yes.
right. Yeah.
And the year one was Dwight Slade, Jackie Cation, and Bent Washburn.
Now, you were telling me if they don't do a good job, you don't invite them back. Is that correct?
No, nobody gets invited back. Is maybe after we do it 5 years, maybe we'll have an all-stars. But everybody wants to do it. I wish we had. I wish we had more weeks in the year that we could do it, because there's so many talented guys out there and gals out there that that would love to get in on something like it's such an opportunity if you're a writer.
Yeah, and also to get to work out brand new stuff at this club, which is amazing. Like, you couldn't do this event like at like in Peoria, Illinois, with like a dumb crowd, or like I don't know, like you just, it has to, your new stuff has to thrive right off the bat so that you can build upon it and strengthen it, and you just can't have a dim-witted crowd. Just crap
Pete,
on it right away.
Just cross Jukebox Comedy Club off his calendar for next year.
I am sorry to the Jukebox. I apologize to you guys. But no, but it's also like a lot of times when I know that when I'm running brand new stuff, like I'll go to alternative shows in New York where it's just a bunch of Brooklyn hipsters and you're not being paid, and it's sometimes a great crowd, sometimes the worst crowd, even with your best material. Like, so you're like we're getting to try out the material here with good crowds, whereas normally your new stuff goes up in front of a horrible crowd.
Yeah,
and that's what's the real treat about it.
Have you ever? No, obviously Tim's done it through this of his third year doing it here. Have you ever done anything similar?
Yeah, well, when I first started here on this stage, Lewis Lee, who I call Comedy Yoda,
that's right.
He told me that he brought me into the back room and he goes, if you,
not to be confused with John Yoda.
Yeah, John.
No relation.
John Yoda.
No, it's actually Eric.
Eric Yoda. And Jameson Yoda. But Lewis pulled me into the back room, and this is like my third or fourth time doing Acme, and he's like, he goes, if you come back here and you have new material each time, I will give you 5 minutes. And so I didn't know that I just had to have a couple new bits. I didn't know I had to pepper it. So I would do a new 5 minutes every single time right when I started on this stage. So every single time was like that. And I remember being up here last night going, oh my God, this does feel like one of those first times that I was here, and the sign is in the same place.
Yeah,
and,
right.
But I do this show called Frantic in New York, where people are encouraged to do newer stuff, but it doesn't have to be brand new stuff. But once a month, I do 7 minutes of like brand new stuff on that show. So I did feel a little more prepared for this than I would have been, but it like 7 minutes is not 20. 20 minutes of new stuff is a monumental undertaking.
Yeah, have you tweaked it at all, or has it been 20 from the beginning?
It's been 20 from the beginning. Yeah.
I like 20. Like, now that I've done 20, I feel so accomplished that I wrote 20 minutes. Like, I love that now. That I don't have to write 20 new minutes right now.
Yeah, but, that's half a CD. That's half a new CD.
Yeah, that's half. But that's a lot. Like that's the difference between running like a 5K and like a marathon. Like 20 new minutes is insane.
What's your confidence level for the rest of the week?
I'm pretty confident. Like,
he had a good show.
I liked my stuff last night. I
ate it.
Really? He did not eat it. I know that we're trying to create some crash in the crash and burn, but Tim, but there does have to be some crash in the crash and burn. But your new stuff was great. Like,
yeah, it was fun.
The audience was really warm to it, and
it's being the host. I get a little latitude because if something doesn't go, I can shrug it off, and it makes the audience laugh, and it gets them. It kind of gets them more attuned to the idea of what's going to happen. But none of the acts really had any moments where it went slow.
Now, between the four of you, does it matter which order you're coming up on stage?
We drew sugar packets.
He actually had a great system. I'll start. So you know how sugar packets have like it says like sugar, and then underneath it says sugar, and then sugar. There's 3 sugars, so there's three of us. So
Sure.
then tell them what you did.
So I just underlined one sugar on each one. So it was sugar number 1, sugar number 2, sugar number 3. So
Brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Brilliant.
and
It
I
was
did like a 3-card Monty with them, and
yeah. Much like Tim's comedy last night, it was brilliant.
and then I tried to I took out the second show Friday because that's the death show.
What do you mean?
It's just historically.
Yeah, it just people have been up all day, and so it's late. A lot of them have been drinking since 5, so it's really not the most conducive show.
Yeah.
So I pulled that out, and then we drew the other 6 shows. I arranged it so everyone got one like a opening slot, a middle slot, and a headline slot. So it was rotated like that. Then we drew again for the death show.
Nice.
So that
Yeah. Yeah, that Friday late show is just a wild card. Sometimes it's the best show of the week, and sometimes it's the worst because, like, yeah, they're at the end of their energy levels, and then a lot of times they went out for like a Super Thursday, and then they were hungover, and then like their wife was like, "You never take me out," and then they had to go out on Friday. It's like that. But you know what I loved about you last night, Tim? I feel like one of those actors that's at like a Cannes Film Festival panel that's like, what's brilliant about my co-star was he's so daring, he takes risks. No, but what I really loved about Tim is like you had such like a zero fucks given attitude about the whole thing that like you were trying out your new stuff, but it like paved the way for us to go, okay, we can just say fuck it and go out on a ledge. You know, it was great.
So you went first yesterday.
Yeah. We used to alternate the host slot too.
Yeah.
The first year we did it, and then I thought, I think there's some consistency when one of us takes the bullet every night.
Okay,
so
yeah.
so since I've been fortunate enough to do all 3, I figured it's the least I can do is host them.
Yeah. How did Pete do, really, though? You know what? You don't have to answer that. How did Tracy and Tim Bador do? They're not here. So
Tracy can go fuck
feel free-
herself.
yeah.
That's what she can do. Tracy actually can go straight fuck herself.
Oh man, she just is every joke just exploded on stage.
Oh, my
Pete
God.
was in the back going, I hate Tracy. God,
Oh, my
I hate
God.
Tracy. Oh my God, why'd you invite her on this show?
Yeah, I seriously I was telling Lewis in the bar about because Tracy was in my wedding. I was in Tracy's wedding, and
right,
we're not married to each other. We were in each other's weddings, and I love Tracy. Tracy calls me when she has like a 11 p.m. until 3 a.m. drive, and I talk to her until she gets home, kind of a thing. That's how much I love Tracy. And when she went up last night, and she was murdering with new stuff after she had called me like a week ago being like, yeah, I just don't even know what I'm going to do. And I'd been writing for like 3 weeks, like toiling and being nervous about it. And then she just goes up with this confidence and just destroys the room. And I knew that I had to go up later with what might not be as good. I was like, fuck Tracy. Fuck her 5 different ways. I don't begrudge her. Once my set went well, I was like, oh, I love Tracy.
Tonight you're following her.
Yeah, so that'll be different. I'm gonna have to follow that energy. During our writing session, I'm gonna have to listen back because I recorded it on my iPhone. This is sponsored by iPhone right now.
Sponsored by
iPhone. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to see what one of the better bits was because I'm gonna have to open hot after she
Clearly.
yeah. But it's weird to not know, like, oh, that's not, I don't know what my opener is because I don't know what the best one is. And I was telling him before the show.
It's gotta be weird.
Yeah, I was telling him before the show last night, I was like, I don't know what my closer is. Like, because I don't have one. I don't know what it's not, the closer is your time-tested best bit that you
Well, I think even last time you were here, we were talking about you were kind of trying to work new things into, your opener, like opening things up with the crowd.
Yeah, and that ended up going. I ended up writing an opener that time that I'm doing on Letterman in a couple weeks. So so that opener, that's good. I can put that one to bed. Now I need to figure out a new one from this.
Did you just say Letterman again?
You know what?
Letterman. Yeah, did I drop that? Did I say
you
Letterman?
just drop that?
Did I drop that?
What were you going to say, Tim? We're going to ignore that he's doing national TV.
I totally, when that dropped, I totally lost my train there. I thought that maybe you should use the coffee bit.
The coffee.
Yeah, coffees for closers.
Do you know that I actually go online and I watch that Coffees for Closer? Like I YouTube that. Like whenever I'm feeling like really unconfident, which I do have bouts of like really bad anxiety, I watch that and I just watch Alec Baldwin be Alec Baldwin, and I just like get an energy from it, and it helps me. Like that's such a great.
Jeez.
That's such a great piece of cinema.
So you mentioned it. What's going on? You're going to go on Letterman or something?
Oh yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, I got my set approved for Letterman to do it again, so I'm on call. So I was actually worried that this week they would call me and I would go do it. But hopefully it's like next week or the week after or whatever. Hopefully it's
in the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, hopefully it's then. But yeah, I had my set like almost 2 months ago approved except for one line, so I had to reshoot it, send it to them with a tweak in the line. I have a bit about like dropping my cell phone in the toilet, and then my wife saying like, why can't you, or why are you such a 12-year-old? And I was like, I wish that you were like my phone, so it could be on silent. And then I say, ever since I said that, she put her hoo-ha on airplane mode. So like it's there, but I can't access all the full capabilities. And Letterman people wanted me to, they're like, you can't use the word hoo-ha, which that's why I wrote it that way.
Right,
instead of being like, yeah, I want to put your pussy on airplane. So I used hoo-ha to begin with to make it TV clean.
I want to put the snapper on airplane mode.
Yeah. But they were like, you can't use hoo-ha. You need to say like, you need to put your love life in airplane mode. So I refilmed the whole set.
God, they turned it into a Joan Rivers line.
Yeah. My love life on airplane mode. And it still works with love life. It's still fine. But then I sent it to them and then it's approved, and now I'm on call for a panic attack. That's basically what it is. And my anxiety is like much better than it even was because we talked a lot about anxiety last time I was here, and I've been going through a lot of therapy and stuff, and it's so much better. So I'm hoping that this time around I'm not freaking out, and I also won't be nervous. And then when my wife says, "Oh, you should have a cup of coffee," like it'll take you up and then bring you back down, and then it never goes back down.
Yeah,
so I won't do that this time.
What was in that? How much notice will you get?
I could get anywhere from like 24 hours notice to 2 weeks, but it'd be within that kind of window. I found out.
So they tape on Thursdays, right?
They tape on Tuesdays or Thursdays. The last time it was Tuesday.
So you still theoretically, at this point, could get a call.
Could get the call, which would be
for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd be like, you guys know. No, I can't. No, I'm doing crash and burn, and I would so take Thursday off and then come back on Friday.
You're gonna go, really? Can you put a word into Slagle for me?
I would do that. But it's
well, that's awesome. That'll be number 2 then.
Yeah,
Letterman before he leaves and does whatever he's doing next.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if like I just want to get one like another one and before. I want to get another one before that. And the coolest thing happened was because I submitted the same set to the Tonight Show and to Letterman. And I got a text when I was out in LA for Last Comic Standing, which like Tracy won't talk about, but I don't give a fuck whatsoever.
Why should Tracy talk about it? She's jealous of you?
Well, we're all in the show, and like we were I'm not going to say how I did or how Tracy did, but like they ran a commercial where I was on it. So like
this year they have already?
Yeah, they've run a commercial where I was on it. One. So like everybody's like, we're not supposed to talk about it, we can't talk about it, and I'm like, but you ran it was on my taxi cab's TV, and I saw it with my face, and so I'm going to say that I'm on it.
Yeah.
But I talked to Tracy last night. She's like,
Did the driver go, "Oh my God, is that you?"
"Oh my God,
Jerry Seinfeld.
oh my God, oh my God, are you on a reality show that is not a good reflection of comedy in general?" But I was out in LA, and
when that fan won, I thought there was no hope for the North anymore.
That's right.
I thought that should have been the last year.
I thought that should have been, that should have been the last year. That was when the ratings were the best. And, but anyway, I was out there, and I had a meeting at Paramount. That there's this like guy in my neighborhood who's like an old Hollywood producer. And he and I have coffee, and I might get him pot, and that's our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But he hooked me up with a meeting over at Paramount. So I get into this meeting, and I hate
What, you
meetings.
didn't bring the pot? Coffee's for closers!
Coffee's for closers! Bring the pot! But I get in the meeting, and I hate meetings. Like, I hate sitting around a table. I hate, like, that stuffiness. That puts my anxiety into overdrive. And so, like, I've learned that when I get in those situations, not to like force myself to go through them, but to like find an alternative. So I said to the guy, I was like, listen, I was like, this is just a general meeting. I was like, can we just walk around the lot and talk to each other and like just like maybe see some celebrities? And like Dr. Phil almost ran us over with a golf cart, and it was like really cool.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, my phone buzzed, and I checked my email, and it was the Letterman guy who was communicating with the Tonight Show guy, because the Tonight Show guy used to work at Letterman, and so he's like best friends with the two of them are best friends. And so I sent the set to both of them, being like, whoever wants it first I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
And so the Letterman guy was like, hey, we're gonna use our first right of refusal and take this set. And then he's like, Ryan, would it be okay if Pete just did the like 6 months from now? Because there's 6 months in between. There has to be 6 months in between. He goes, is it okay if Pete just does the show in the fall? And Ryan's like, yeah. He's like, so you're on for the fall. Just get me a different set. And I was like, holy fuck! Like, I couldn't believe that I was touring a lot. And then I just got that email. Like the 8-year-old kid in me was
Hell
like,
yeah!
holy shit!
Yeah,
this is insane.
Did you go high five Dr. Phil or anything?
No. Dr. Phil apparently is a giant badass. Like apparently he's Texas all the way. But I did take a photo with his golf cart after he had parked it.
Oh god!
His golf cart has flames on it.
What?
Yeah.
Is his name on it too?
No, his name isn't on it, but it's also like you know those golf carts that have like a little bit bigger wheels and stuff like that. I mean, because he's a giant human being. Like you need it was like sagging to one side.
Oh, come on.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I just realized that probably is tacky to like say all like that sounded braggy to say all those things about that stuff. But
No.
But it
You got something good going for you? Talk about it. Why not?
yeah. Well. My TV show just got canceled, so I need something good to talk about.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
That was
son of a bitch.
That was what I was telling Tim. Is like that when that got canceled, this gave me the creative outlet to like write all of this, because I normally would have been writing like Kim Kardashian got a new pair of shoes, and and I'd be just in joke hell writing jokes about that, and like. This made me so happy to use my creative energy to prepare for this. Like, this show saved my life.
Joel McHale did a Kardashian joke.
He did?
Yeah.
What?
At the Correspondence' Dinner.
At the Correspondence' Dinner.
How's that for a segue?
I like that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
I love it. Well, that just, we're just on the same wavelength, and now we're on the same page. Because I brought some stuff here about that Correspondence Dinner. Because who better to comment on that than Mr. Tim Slagle?
Yeah,
First of all, let me ask one question. Joel McHale, what's your opinion of Joel McHale?
What he looked like to me, it's always been one of my thrills through comedy, is that they'll do a one-nighter in Orfordville, Wisconsin.
Shout out to Orfordville
In the house.
And what they'll do is they'll say, well, we'll bring in 2 acts, and then we'll have a local DJ from the Crash and Burn show come and do host it. and this guy has never done stand-up before. He's always thought, he always imagines that when he flicks off to the goes off to the song, that people are rolling on the floor clutching their sides from the line he just gave them. It's like, but how about that Madonna? Like a virgin, not quite. More news after this. You just expected that people would die laughing. And it's always been a thrill for me to watch their sets, their first set in front of a real live audience, and just to see that look in their eye, that recognition that their jokes aren't as funny as they always thought they used to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When I saw Joel at the correspondence dinner, he had that same look in his eye because he was doing like his talk soup material. And this was the first time he was doing his talk soup material in front of a crowd. And it just, I saw that same exact look going, wow, I'm not funny.
To me, it seems like the thing the phenomenon that you just described is like, because he was, like, the people that probably come out to see him at a theater are they're the people that would watch The Soup, who, like, the people in the rap world would describe them as basic bitches. You know, like people that are like, I took a spin class and I got Starbucks and and I'm super deep. Like, so I have activities that I do and I'm a unique person.
I read a blog.
Yeah, I read a blog. And then, so like he was probably like, I'm going to do my humor. And then he's performing in front of people that went to Harvard and Yale and whichever side of the aisle they're on, they're pretty intelligent people.
Right.
And they're not just going to laugh at, like you said, a Kardashian joke. Or a reference or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Did he bomb? Did he bomb at that?
I thought so, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It did not, and that's most of the reports I read on it was that it was not a good set.
Oh.
Do you remember I have the Kardashian joke in front of me here.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember it?
The Kardashians are Republicans because they're trying to screw black guys.
There you go.
And I thought to myself, how much different is that really than what Donald Sterling said?
That is true. It's just a repurposing of that statement.
It's the exact same guy. It's I don't want you screwing black guys versus the Republicans are screwing black guys. But because he put that Republicans in there, that makes it okay.
Yeah,
and that to me is really frustrating. You know, all Donald Sterling had to say, "I don't want you screwing black guys like a Republican," and he could keep the team.
You know what? You're probably right. That's that's a really interesting point.
It's definitely a ghettoization of conservative thought is the way it's marginalizing. As long as you're on the same page as liberals, you pretty much have a right to say anything. But if you're not, then you have to fall under speech restrictions.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be like, Republicans probably think you're a fucking retard, Justin.
Exactly. Exactly.
I didn't use the R word.
No. You are exactly right. And most recently, Stephen Colbert did that ching chong ding dong sensitivity to Orientals or whatever.
Oh, right.
And it's like well, that's kind of, and they were offended. I mean, there were groups that said, that's offensive. You should apologize. It's like, well, you don't get it. I was making fun of Republicans, and for the most part, the people within that normally would raise a stink about that said, yeah, he was making fun of Republicans. Obviously, these Asian Americans don't understand the humor.
Oh yeah, and as an Asian American, being Pete Lee, I am so offended. I am flabbergasted.
We need to watch what we say when Pete's here.
Yeah.
Careful. That's right.
And the thing is, on that ching chong ding dong, he would have never. Let's just assume. Let's dissect this here. Let's assume that he's right. That the humor was based in the satire, not the actual slam against Asians, which I totally disagree. Because if he were to say, turn the bit into, well, I'm going to start the Sammy Sambo organization for sensitivity to Negroes or whatever.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have gotten a pass on that.
No.
And the writers knew that. They knew that
He chose Chinese because
specifically because
Chinese,
because they do well in school.
you couldn't even, yeah. Their stereotype is math.
They do well in school. They make a lot of money. They own comedy clubs.
We're all envious of at least one thing a Chinese person has.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. Do you remember the? How about this one? This is another one of McHale's jokes. Every year, the White House doctor checks the president's colon for polyps and
George Clooney's head.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like
I don't know if I even get that one.
I'm not sure either.
Well, George Clooney got into a big fight with some big powerful guy because the guy was insulting Obama.
It was,
and that was
what you call it, the casino owner.
Yeah, and but I mean, and he said, "Oh, Barack Obama's my friend," and you don't say that, and I don't know, but like Tim, you're my friend. And if I was in a casino and the casino owner was like fuck Tim Slagle, I'd be like, oh, the steak is great.
Love my accommodations. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is great. What is this, Dr. Pepper? I love this. I love this soda that I'm drinking.
Yeah, me too. Is the booking still good? Yeah, fuck Tim Slagle.
Yeah. I would not get up and storm out with a free steak, I don't know. My only interaction with I did the Grand Rapids Laugh Fest comedy festival thing, and Joel McHale was there, and it was a very small green room full of people where there was probably 8 people, and he was talking to 3 of them, and so there were 5 of us that just weren't talking to Joel McHale, and his body language was he wasn't making himself approachable, and we had to be there because we were going on stage, and he wasn't going on stage. He had already done the show before us. And I really didn't feel like I could go over and be like, "Hi, Joel, I like you on Community," or what. I didn't get the vibe at all that would be okay. And then he.
Well, no. Have you actually seen him on Community? It would be so not okay.
Yeah, it'd be so not okay. Yeah, he doesn't have.
You've never seen me.
He doesn't have that demeanor. Yeah.
Yeah. No one who's ever seen it liked it. So you are so lying.
But he. But I remember when he left, a lot of the people in the green room were like a lot of the other comics were like, "Oh my God, we hung out with Joel McHale." And the first thing I said, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy Joel McHale left."
Yeah.
Because it was not a good energy. And I was like, it's a better energy now that he's not in here. And I think that if you're in a green room and you're a celebrity and you're there with 8 people, you should say hello, just even go, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Just something like that. But it was almost like he enjoyed that he was talking to this cool part of the room, and then we weren't in that
that's lame.
circle. So yeah, if he bombed, that's okay with me.
Well, here's what I find really interesting. We used to have him on the morning show, on the radio show, every 6 months or something. He was promoting the soup or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is before Community, I think, was even on the air. And back then I answered phones for the morning show, so I'd get a chance to talk to some of our guests before they got on the air. And if it was somebody I liked, I'd come up with anything just to say hi and so I could be like, "I talked to Joel McHale today,"
Yeah.
So the first time we had him on, I got him on the phone and I asked him if he was ever coming to town to do stand-up, because for some reason I thought he did stand-up. And he said, "No, why would I? I've never done that." A year later...
Still hasn't.
Well, that's the thing. A year later, he was on because he needed to sell tickets at his theater show in town. And I asked him off the air, I said, "So what happened here? Because a year ago you said you'd never done stand-up and now you're doing a theater?" He said, "They offered me a lot of money."
Wow. So it was just that's why we all get into stand-up, is for all that money.
So now how do both of you feel about him when he just got to sell at a theater because they offered him a boatload of money and someone probably wrote all of his jokes?
Well, I remember because I lived in town when he came through on his first tour, and I remember talking to friends who were like, "We're going to see Joel McHale," and I'm like, "Tell me how it is." And then they came back from it going, "Oh my God, it was really rough." We're talking about the Crash and Burn doing new stuff. Imagine if you're famous and you're going on a tour where maybe it's the 30th time you've done that set. Whereas if Lewis Black does a thing, that's I mean, that's probably like his 100th time because he's gone and done it in all these different clubs and stuff. And then Lewis Black is almost also Lewis Black.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was apparently his first tour was rusty, but I've talked to people since then that have seen him that say that he's pretty good now. You know, he's got his chops about him. But yeah, I mean, but he made hundreds of thousands of dollars not being good at first.
Isn't that amazing?
Normally a comic, I mean, what do you think you make in your first year of paid emceeing? Like
A little bit less than that.
Yeah. You're only going to make about $150,000 your first year emceeing.
Right. Yeah, you jump up so many tax brackets as soon as you decide to be a comedian, right?
Oh yeah, once you get to that feature level.
Yeah. So essentially, what his tour is kind of like Screech.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you can sell tickets off notoriety, I guess. I guess. I have a question for you two because of your Midwestern roots and where you live and where you've been and where you're going. Where you've been, mostly. We talked about it briefly before we started recording. I went to Chicago over the weekend to see some hockey and visit a friend. And you were in Chicago, Pete, performing. Yes. You know all about Chicago. You basically live there, right?
Yeah, I actually dropped in to see him when he was in.
Here's my question.
All three of us were there.
I know. All three of us were there, and we weren't together.
Son of a bitch. Next time. Let's plan better next time, guys.
Next time the Blackhawks are playing the Wild.
That's right.
Let's make sure we all convene.
That's what I said because Pete had to do a radio show right after the show, and he was getting grief because we were like hanging. We hadn't seen each other in years, and we're hanging. And they're like, the car's waiting for you. The show's at 11 o'clock.
Oh, really?
And I was being a total diva. I'm like, that's what cars do. They wait.
But it just, I just had a ton of stuff to do to get ready for this week, so I couldn't, I would have been great to jump in the car and bust into the radio station and hang out with. I wouldn't have gotten home till like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
and then he texts me and goes, "Hey, I just got tickets to the Cubs game." It's like, crap, we got to plan this better next time.
Damn,
I know. Well, I was down at WGN and they do the Cubs games, and I wanted him to come down to WGN because he would have been great on that. Like it would have been so much fun to hang with him all night on the radio too. And Patty Vasquez is the host, and she's great. And and then the Cubs game would have been great. But next time,
I got a great Patty Vasquez story that I'm not going to tell on the podcast. We'll have to.
Oh man,
well, let's remember afterwards. Then. If it's that good, you got to tell us somehow.
All right.
It's just Patty and I took a train to Minot, North Dakota together once, and we got in trouble.
Wait, like an Amtrak from Chicago to Minot? Well, how many hours does that take?
Too many. we both got intoxicated, and we started a poker game. I think I could tell this part of this.
Yeah,
we started a poker game, and the conductor came back and said, "You can't play poker for money on the train." And Patty still talks about this, how I went into lawyer mode and tried to explain to him, because it's a federal train that's crossing over state lines, that there is no actual state jurisdiction that controls whether or not and he sat and listened to drunken Slagle ramble for about 5 minutes before he said, "Put the cards away."
This guy's watched too many Dukes of Hazzard. Thinks he goes over county line and he's free. Yeah.
I love that you're quoting interstate law, and this guy has like an Amtrak pamphlet that he read that was like it was a bullet point.
Right. Well, here's my question for you guys, and I think I have 24 hours or 48 hours from that right now to get an answer to this. We drove down to Chicago from St. Paul. I paid the cash or coin toll all the way through, except for one. I just drove right through.
They'll get you.
Oh, you're going to go to jail.
And it said, did you forget to pay? Couldn't pay? You need to, here's the number or the website, and go back. And I did see cameras. Will they get me for $1.90 or whatever it was?
Well, it'll be much inflated. It'll be like $50.
And they really will go after, they'll go after a picture on that video or whatever.
They take your license plate, run it through the computers, and you'll get a letter. You will get a letter.
For $1.90.
Which
No.
will be inflated to about $50.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's gonna.
You're still in the window. It's like 14 days.
I think
isn't
it's at 7.
7.
So I have until Friday. I have about 48 hours.
Yeah, you just go online and
Go online.
you
It's really
pay
easy.
it with your
You
credit
tell
card.
You tell them you put in your license plate number. You tell them. I mean, it's all automatic. You tell them where you were. Where, and it's even if it's close. And then you can pay it on a credit card online.
This is good to know.
Yeah,
Do it because, like I said, it's $1.90 if you do it right now. It'll be if they send you a letter, it's gonna be like $50.
I don't even know. It was weird because I was actually going through that long drive. It actually, after the first or second one, I was like, well, what if I just wasn't paying attention and drove right through? And then the next one, I did that. It never
And
pulled over to go to the cash thing. I just right through.
And you're watching those overhanging all the sensors and cameras. You're just watching them.
Oh
take
yeah, I
a
was like,
picture.
"There's the camera shit, camera shit."
Yeah, they have those iPass things that you put in your window. And the truth is, it's the technology is so far advanced, they no longer need those iPasses.
Oh really?
Theoretically, they could actually just have a list of your license plate number, and that you could have an account that's tied to your license plate number, and they could actually, because if you ever drive through one of those with a rental car, the rental car company will get charged, and the rental car company has an account set up with their license with the cars that they have licenses, so that if one of their cars goes through, they just get billed for like 20 cents or whatever the toll was direct, and then they send a letter to whoever rented the car that week, and you have to pay like $50.
Yeah.
But they only have to pay because it's all tagged to their license plate number. So I don't know why they have to give you the iPass anymore. They can just do it by license.
They could just do it that way.
They can just do it by license plates now, because that's essentially what you're going to do. You're going to give them the license plate number. You're going to tell them where you went, and you're going to pay like $1.90 on your credit card.
Son of a gun.
I've had it with rental cars that I get it'll be like 3 months later that it'll be like you were in Wichita and you drove through this toll or whatever it is, and I don't even know if Wichita has tolls, but it'll, and then it, like, a lot of times there'll be a picture of you like going through the toll without paying, in the car, so like it's supposed to be indisputable. But I had it in Arizona one time where I must have been going through one of those like red light cams or something like that, or like I was turning right on red, and I had my giant like white headphones in that I was listening to headphones in the car, and while it was happening, you can see me checking my phone. I was like, I'm so happy that they weren't checking the actual photo, because I was breaking 2 more laws.
Here's a great Chicago news story that this just broke like the night before I left. It is that Mayor Rahm Emanuel, you know who Rahm Emanuel is?
Yeah.
That he I'm not sure if the red light cameras predated his administration, but he put speeding cameras in by all the school zones and parks, that if you go by a park more than 20 miles an hour, you'll get a ticket. And when he was doing this, he was saying, this is all about safety. I know that my critics are trying to say this is generation of revenue. It's not generation of revenue. We're doing it to protect our children. And then you had like a kid in a wheelchair on stage that, here's somebody that was hit by a speeder in a school zone, and we want to stop, blah, 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 safety. No, it's revenue's irrelevant to the situation. Well, Ben Bradley, a brilliant journalist, decided to run the mayor's license plate through the database to see if he actually.
Oh.
And he has run him in his chase car, and they thought maybe occasionally he would go through the light and then the chase car would get like the red light camera. No, both of them, all the time, both of them all the time. That those 2 cars have so many tickets unpaid that those cars were flagged for seizure.
No way! Holy crap!
That's really funny.
And it's probably going to be a national story.
Way to go, Rom. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, all that stuff is total revenue. I mean, the smoking, like in New York, they made it so you couldn't smoke more than 50 feet outside of a building. Well, that means you're in the middle of the street. Like you have to,
right.
And so they can just ticket you smoking, or if you're smoking in Central Park, it's $50 ticket. It's all a revenue thing. Like they don't give a crap about people's health. It's all, and I'm not a smoker, and I have that opinion. But
have you guys ever seen this? This ties in with talking about Chicago here. They were named the funniest city in America. Did you see this?
I saw that.
Yeah. Explain. Do you agree? Disagree?
There's a lot of there's Second City, and then from Second City there's all these spin-off improv houses, and then there's Zanies, and then from Zanies there's plus there's actually a couple other chains that come into town that I don't really care to mention, but there's all these spin-off open mic places. So yeah, it's I mean there's a lot of people that come to Chicago as a stepping stone for their comedy career. So
yeah,
whether it's actually funny or not, I don't know. I don't really find improv funny anymore. I've seen too much of it.
Well, I'll say that like the top 5, for example: Portland, Washington D.C., Atlanta, Boston, Chicago.
I think Portland's unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't realize how ridiculous they are, and that's
thanks to Fred Armisen, we all know about that.
Yeah. Wait, what's the top 5 again?
I'll do the 10, and you can say anything about any of these: Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Los Angeles, New York City, Portland, Washington D.C., Atlanta, Boston, Chicago.
Washington D.C. again, unintentional.
Yeah, was Minneapolis even on the list? Mm-mm. Because Acme is regarded as the best comedy club in the country.
Yeah,
and there are also lots of improv and and other comedy clubs around. And I mean, it's odd to me that every single stand-up comic that you'd ask goes, "Oh my God, Minneapolis they'd be like, this is the best. Acme's the best."
Like and the great write-up in City Pages when they won Best Comedy Club. Acme won Best Comedy Club again, and with the mention of Crash and Burn.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that article starts off by saying that if you listen to any comedy podcast, inevitably someone's going to mention how much they love Acme.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
Minneapolis though has always been a secret.
Yeah.
You know, it's anything they do. They got a thriving art scene. They have a thriving music scene. They have all these scenes that are really healthy and and world class, but nobody knows about them.
No,
and I think it's as a visitor here, it's kind of fortunate that nobody's exploiting it.
I'm okay with that as a resident.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's actually
when you see some of the comics that are moving to Chicago to further their comedy career, you're lucky you're not on that list.
Yeah, I've actually in the last couple of years I've met better comics out of Chicago. That, I remember when I was coming up through Minneapolis, like a Chicago comic would come through our open mic here, and they were always the worst. And you're just going, oh my God, how is Chicago churning out such amazing
improv?
Come on,
big city.
And and then such shitty stand up. And Tim is the exclusion of this, because you were always brilliant. But but the Chicago guys were always like, yeah, it's neat to be in Minneapolis, but I'm from Chicago. And I remember going, oh, okay. But now when I go down there, it seems like whoever I'm working with, who's a local guy, is amazing.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, a lot of those guys, they studied at Second City, they studied at IO or whatever, and so they have a base of comedy knowledge that a lot of just general stand-up comics around the country don't know. They know about game and they know about all that, so they know how to build their bits. But
now the people that did this list, it was some sort of humor algorithm. We don't need to get into all that crap, but they did have a bottom.
Humor and algorithm.
No, I know. That's why I didn't want to waste my time.
It's a lot like military intelligence.
No kidding. Yeah. I know. It's so silly. It's not so. But they did list a bottom 10 here. So
the least funniest city.
The least funny. And we've got. Tell me if you guys have ever performed in any of these. If you have any stories or anything. We got Fresno, California.
Orfordville,
Wisconsin.
What was the first one? Fresno was the first one?
Fresno, yes. Fresno. El Paso, Texas.
I performed there, but it was at a college. So it was, they were intelligent and good.
Tucson.
Nope.
I worked in Tucson. It seemed it seemed pretty on.
How about Las Vegas?
I've done Las Vegas, but I mean, that seems weird that they'd have Las Vegas in the worst, because I mean, I don't know if they're just being comedy snobs and they're like, oh, you're gonna go see Carrot Top or whatever. But I mean, there's a lot of comedy happening in Las Vegas, and
is this based on the comedy that was?
It's well, now you're gonna make me talk. You want to know the humor algorithm?
I want to dissect it.
Get your ruler out and your
My protractor.
in your square. Let's see. They use frequency of visits to comedy websites, number of comedy clubs per square mile in each city, traveling comedians' ratings of each city's comedy club audiences, number of famous comedians born in each city divided by the population, humor-related web searches, comedy radio stations available in the city.
Okay.
So
That seems good, but some seem like they should be weighted more than others in the algorithm.
Well, here are the rest of them. Virginia Beach, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Arlington, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Miami, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida. So apparently stay out of Texas and most of Florida. Is that accurate?
It's from my visits. New Orleans should probably be on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because they have never, I don't know what it is about the culture there, but they have never been able to put up a comedy club. And it's been attempted for 35 years I've been in the business. Several have tried, none have succeeded.
I went down for Mardi Gras this year. It was the first time I was in New Orleans, and I always like people always had gone, "You've never been to New Orleans? Why?" And I'm like, "Because there's no comedy there." And then I got down there and I saw why. I mean, you would either be performing to the drunkest people imaginable, like Friday Night Late Show, worst case scenario, you'd be performing to, or you'd be performing to the locals who are just into music. Like, and a lot of drugs, so like, yeah, it wouldn't be a prime audience. Yeah. I don't know, like San Antonio, I've had good shows there. Virginia Beach, I've had good shows there. I've never been to Fresno.
Keeping track of how many states you've worked in? Like Kostaki Economopoulos was here last week, and he is proud that he's performed in all 50 states.
I've performed in the entire continental U.S. I haven't performed in Alaska and Hawaii. Have you done?
I'm missing Alaska.
Okay,
and that's it.
Wow.
No, there's probably a couple more. I think the Northeast. I don't think I'm missing a couple Northeast, but most of them. Yeah.
That's amazing. We
on my bio I say all 50 because when you say 47, it's like, why even bring it up? Why is it even anything to talk about? So I
and even if you say 50, people are like, what about Puerto Rico?
And I also have Canada and Mexico. So
see
Mexico
for you.
I've done Canada and Mexico. I've performed in Jamaica. I've done the Middle East for the troops and stuff, and then China's coming up. I don't know if we're supposed to announce this for all our listeners in China, over in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Macau.
There actually might be more than you imagine.
There might be, you know, but we're coming over there for Acme Comedy. There's actually a Twitter now for Acme Comedy Company Asia.
Really?
Yeah, for this tour that we're doing. It's myself, Chad Daniels, and Tom Segura that are going over there, and Louis Lee's going with. My wife's going to go with, and we keep joking around. We're like, the Lees are going to China.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so great.
Family reunion.
Yeah. Oh, my God. But
when is that?
That's in September. I have to book the plane tickets this week. And
you should get the Chinese phone book and see if there's anyone in China named Olsen. And you should get your picture taken. Please meet the Olsen.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. Now that you say that, we do need to like find other white people and just get our picture taken with them.
No, you want some Asian people named Olsen.
Olsen. Yeah.
Lee and Olsen.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Some white people or some Asian people with an American name. That's funny. That's really funny. That's really funny. Was it
Olsen, American name? Yeah, you grew up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're
the Olsens.
I think actually like the only American names would be like Thundercloud and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because those are the
truly
the native.
authentic.
Well, I'm Native American. That's my dominant ethnicity that I don't really identify with. I don't know why, but yeah, that It's funny when like I've actually talked to Mexican people where like they'll like I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and there were like a ton of Mexican people that came out to my show, and I said to one of them I was like, that's great that you guys came out to support me and whatever. They were like, you look like us, and I go, well, it's because before they drew that line, I was Mexican, like I'm a Native American, like we were all just the same kind of thing, and they got so offended by that I would even insinuate that a Native American genetically would be close to a Mexican. We just drew a line.
I think what they're offended by is the suggestion that there was a line.
Yeah, they didn't want that line, did they?
That there was no fence. I mean, line. I mean, imaginary line.
If there was a line, like we couldn't be here.
You were so right. Yeah, that line is pretty offensive. The line that, remember the Alamo? Remember that?
That's funny.
Oh my
god. You mentioned, I don't even know how we got to it, but when you were talking about the late shows cleaning up your act.
Oh yeah.
For on air, and you said it sounds like a Joan Rivers joke. I brought a list along that I found. And this is giving away one of them, but someone put together a list of the worst talk show hosts of all time. With all the turnover these days, Fallon's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
On NBC right now, and what's his name? Seth Meyers has got his own show now, and as we said, Colbert is going to take over for Letterman's spot. So someone put together a list of the worst. Joan Rivers is on this. Do you remember ever watching that? Either of you?
Yeah, I do.
I remember seeing her when she would guest host Carson, and I always thought that she was she just was so different from him that it was kind of cool. But then, when she got her own show, wasn't it also on Fox? And they foxed it up?
Essentially, Joan Rivers was like salt.
Mm-hmm.
Is a little bit here and there, makes things taste nice, but you can't eat a whole pot of it.
Yeah. You would never, people go to bed watching Fallon, and you could fall asleep watching Leno or whatever, but could you imagine going to sleep with Joan Rivers' voice in the background?
I never thought of it that way.
Look at my daughter Melissa.
Yeah, it says what I have here. In 1986, Fox came to her. She took the show, and then of course Carson never spoke to her again.
The interesting thing here is the owner of the Yuck Yucks chain in Canada was the talent coordinator for the Joan Rivers show. It's because essentially they couldn't find anyone in this country that would take the job.
Oh wow!
Because they knew that. That's how powerful Johnny was.
That's an affiliation. You don't want to be affiliated with the
right.
Someone who Johnny hates. Public Enemy #1. Wow, that's amazing. So who else do you think? I assume you guys didn't see this list I'm looking at. Who else do you think would be on here?
Arsenio?
No.
Are you talking about his current show? How dare you? He's doing great.
His current show is the worst. We had to do a bunch of segments on Best Week Ever for it was just every week he would give us something, and he had on Miley Cyrus's dad, who was really popular back when Arsenio was first on. Billy Ray Cyrus was
Achy Breaky Heart.
Yeah, Achy Breaky Heart.
Yeah.
It was a giant hit, so he had him.
Wow,
on.
is that Miley Cyrus has spanned the entire distance of Arsenio's sabbatical?
That's crazy. Yeah, that now he's Miley Cyrus's dad. But anyway, a lot of times when he first came out, a lot of the guests that he was having were they were almost like retro guests. They were people that were so hot back then in the 90s. And so one of his first guests in one of the first week was it was this big blowout, he promoted it like it was the best thing in the world, which it would have been if the year was 1997. Arsenio was we have Billy Ray Cyrus, and then that's all he introduced, right? And then as a cameo during the song, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit came out to sing some of it, and Arsenio was losing his shit. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening! And it was just all right, if you could travel back in a time machine and make this happen, it would have been insane. But now it's
Arsenio, can we talk to you?
Yeah.
About that show.
Yeah.
What? They were like the hottest names in my Rolodex. That's another thing we need to talk about.
I shouldn't have drank water during that. I almost drowned not in water when you said that. That was so funny.
That's great.
Was Pat Sajak on the list?
No, but I did watch that show once or twice when that was on for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you remember this one? This one I don't remember. Fran Drescher had a talk show.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
The Fran.
Wow, and you thought Joan Rivers you couldn't go to sleep to.
Apparently, let's see, had a 3-week lifespan.
Chevy Chase.
Oh, that was the Fran Drescher. Yeah, Chevy Chase is on here. What does it say about
on there? Yeah.
Yeah, where did that go? What does it say about Chevy Chase? Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, right there. It was a time when the name Chevy Chase was synonymous with comedy. That was back in the early '90s after a career on SNL, and then he got a talk show in 1993, and it was as bad as can be.
Well, that you know what? Now that I think about it, it was so bad, it pretty much was the end of his career.
It was until
it actually was
until Community.
Yeah.
I mean, which I don't even know if that's a complete resurrection of his career, but yeah, you're right. He went away.
He was fabulously wealthy before comedy. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah. His name isn't really Chevy Chase. His last name is Crane, which is a name you're very familiar with if you're a guy that drinks a lot of beer, because you see the name
on the bottom of the bottle or the inside of the bottle.
No, the top of the urinal.
Get out of here! Yeah, of course. I know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's he's he doesn't mind the money, but this is just what I've heard. This could be wrong. This could just be bar talk, but that's why he picked the name Chevy Chase, because he was so embarrassed by the fact that he's piss rich.
Ha. Ha. Isn't that like, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like has
the Dreyfus Fund.
Yeah.
She's related?
So she's filthy rich
she's
too.
Filthy
yes,
rich as well, yeah.
Even without the acting money.
But I've heard that she's a good person, whereas I've heard that Chevy Chase is a giant douchehole.
I've heard the same thing.
I think Veep is the funniest show on TV right now.
I agree. I think it's hilarious.
Really?
Funniest show on TV right now.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that.
And it's probably more accurate depiction of what goes on in Washington than The West Wing. West Wing was just Aaron Sorkin's wet dream. It's how he would like to imagine Washington working. I think Veep is probably dead on target.
Yeah. The West Wing was people talking very fast, no pauses in their dialogue. That like how people imagine people that Harvard talk, or like that went to Harvard talk. And yeah, Veep is just there like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like they're just clueless.
I don't know the characters' names, but the guy who always has to walk behind her and whisper in her ear.
Oh, that Tony Hale.
Yeah, he's great.
Have you ever seen the show?
I've seen some of them, yeah, and I know Tony Hale from Arrested Development.
She's going down the. Okay, his name is Bob Smith. He's in charge of, and you want to get to know him because they're terribly good computer. Hi, so good to see you, Bob. And it really is a scream, and that stuff. When I watch like things on C-SPAN now, I look for that guy whispering in the ear when they're going down the line.
My friend Danny, he's a film professor at York College in Queens. He gets a lot of things like tech things to demo because he's a big tech guy, and he's demoed a lot of like drone kind of things and stuff for cameras, and because they're using it a lot for movies. But he also got like a version of Google Glasses. But essentially, like it has a facial recognition software in it, just like Facebook does. So if you come up to someone that's in your database that like it goes, that's Justin, that's Tim, and which is one of the hardest things for us to go, oh fuck, who is that person?
No
Where do
kidding.
I know them from? But it gives you that, and so he's like, that's going to be one of the things in the future that we can have is we can either just like point our camera at them and it'll go Justin or whatever it is. But yeah, we're not even going to have to remember people's names in the future.
I'm fine with that.
In the future,
I'm fine with that.
I took an intro to voiceover class in Chicago, and there was some guy, and he's like one of the highest paid voiceover guys, and he's all the cartoon voices, like Captain Crunch and that. Did you recognize?
Yeah.
That's all him.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about what he does every morning. He gave us all his itinerary, that he gets up and has a light breakfast of cereal and skim milk. After which it was that detailed. And after which he reads the Spanish newspaper out loud for 45 minutes. And then he reads the Ukrainian newspaper out loud for another 45 minutes. And then he starts making calls to the agents. And then he said, in the meantime, when he's on auditions, he says, I have a Rolodex. And he has pictures of everybody in the advertising industry with their stats, their name, their how many kids they have, marital status, just all the vital stats. So, and that's what he does. He would cover on a Rolodex. He covers it with a hand, look at the picture, and tries to name it like flashcards. And he just would memorize everyone in the advertising industry. And so you see somebody on the street, you go, Bill, how you doing? How's the wife? How's the kids?
Wow.
Did you get that promotion? Wow.
So they go, we should use him.
Exactly. And then he said, and then he closed his little speech with, he goes, do you have to do this? Probably not. But remember, in that audition, you're going up against me.
Whoa!
And that was an intro to doing voiceovers that I walked out, and that was and I actually had some buddies in the advertising industry, and I told them this story.
Yeah.
And one of them goes, that little fuck, and I go,
yeah.
What? I go what? He goes, every year the guy throws a cruise. He rents a boat for all the people in the it's a booze cruise for all the people in the advertising industry, and he has a bunch of little girls going around taking everyone's picture and jotting down notes. So I mean, that's how dedicated he was.
Oh my God!
What's really funny is that Google Glass invention you told me about made his life irrelevant. Crunchberries ahoy!
Are you sure this guy isn't also like Edward Snowden or something? Sounds like he knows a lot.
Yeah, this guy sounds creepy. Like if
he knows too much.
If let's say that you were like a lady that was
He
on a
is an
first.
Asperger. That's
Yeah.
what he is.
Yeah, he does have Asperger. Yeah, it sounds like he has rampant OCD, and he like because I have a certain level of OCD, and I'm learning how to manage it through therapy. But it sounds like my therapist tells me that like your OCD is like an alligator. You wanna wear it out before you fight it. Like you want it to chase you around the yard before you try to pin it down. And so like I do a lot of my stand-up writing is literally the wearing out the alligator so that I can go out and be social.
Yeah.
And my OCD is too tired to fight. But it sounds like all that reading the fucking Russian newspaper and like.
So you spanked the alligator.
Yeah. I spanked the alligator so hard. I spank it.
I got a feeling that guy has a history of chasing women away as well, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, or like he probably has like a room down in his basement that doesn't have like windows or like it's like he
There's no windows anywhere.
He's a scream room probably. That's what I'm saying about that guy.
Scream house. There's one more thing I want to get to with you guys. I don't think I've ever really talked much sports with Tim and Pete. I know you're a football fan, but this is one I want to get your thoughts on. All right. This is a San Francisco Giants. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Hopefully you don't know it. San Francisco Giants pitcher injured himself in the kitchen, and he's had to be put on the disabled list. It just happened this week. I'm just curious. Do you guys even have a guess of what this guy could have done in the kitchen? A major league pitcher that now he's on the disabled list.
Just for
Slicing a bagel.
Slicing a bagel.
I'm saying dick in the garbage disposal. That's what I want it to be so bad. Just somehow he was like,
"No, this disposal was that deep."
Yeah. He just was like, he's just being I'm just a dude being a dude. Like I was like, that rubber flap seems good, and I'm gonna try to fuck that hole. I don't know. That was.
Well, you got it, Pete. That's right. So, end of the story. He's on the disabled list. He was making himself lunch, and he was making a sandwich. He was trying to cut the sandwich into fancy triangles.
What kind of bread was he using?
He said, let me read what I have here. His name's Matt Cain, pitches for the Giants. He's a good pitcher, too.
He is a good pitcher.
Yeah, Matt, he says he was making a ham and cheese sandwich when he decided to get creative. He explains, quote, I went to cut it to make fancy triangles. He dropped the knife and for some reason tried to catch it.
So theoretically, the sandwich, it could have been a ham on bagel. So theoretically, I could be right.
It could be anything.
You know what? It was probably a bag. No, I don't know. But I did see, but then apparently like a reporter, when he was talking about this, a reporter showed him a picture of one of those. They make them sort of like a cookie cutter, but it's a cutter that you just push it over the sandwich and it automatically cuts it into triangles.
Fancy triangles?
Yeah.
I think it's so funny that he wanted fancy triangles.
He's 29. By the way.
Okay.
So what age did you stop having fancy triangle sandwiches?
You know what?
Oh,
you know what? He might have just said that because the truth is he might be too embarrassed to admit that he was cutting the crusts off at 29.
Oh yeah, that's
He figured that fancy triangles was going to get him less teasing than being able to stand the crust.
That's true because fancy triangles is silly, but cutting the crust off, you're like you're a child.
You're a little bitch.
You're a little bitch. You're a bitch, Kane. You could have guessed this, but this one that happened to one of his teammates 3 years ago. Relief pitcher Jeremy Affeldt cut his right hand while trying to separate, and I've had this problem before as well, frozen hamburger patties with a knife. Have you ever bought frozen hamburger patties?
Yeah.
And you can't.
Yep. So you stick the sharp knife in between them and pound it once.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he did that and cut his hand open. He too. That was season-ending surgery for that fella.
Wow.
Jesus.
So
I feel like back in the days of like Babe Ruth and stuff like that, if they had a cut on their hand, they'd still just pitch the rest of the year like with stitches, like, and then they'd create like a new knuckleball because the stitches like made it pop a certain way.
So they start cutting their own hands. And
like if pine tar, if pine tar gives you a good stick, imagine what blood would do to a ball. Like.
The blood ball.
Yeah, the blood ball.
I hate to be a spoil sport because this has been so much fun.
We got to do our writing session.
Yeah, we got a writing session coming
up. One more thing I want. Could you please repeat what you said before we started recording about soccer? Because it was so perfect. About how I don't want to ruin it.
Let me see if I can recreate it. Is that a lot of Europhiles brought soccer over to this country because they were so disappointed that soccer, that in the rest of the world, soccer is the number one sport everywhere but America. So they started introducing it to the kids, hoping that maybe that America would be more European. And what actually happened, because they wanted it so inclusive that they had boys soccer and girls soccer, is that now kids look at soccer as a girls' sport. So instead of actually making American Europe more European, they're going to make Americans grow up to think that Europeans are all girls.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to end it. Guys, thank you. Pete, on Twitter, it's Pete Lee, at Pete Lee Tweets.
Pete Lee Tweets.
Tim Slagle, Slagle, got a website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, and it's all Tim Slagle, Tim Slagle, Tim Slagle. So if you get the Slagle spelt right, you're all set.
Slagle.
Yep.
And you said you were going to say something else? I'm sorry.
Just that you can't be a regular person and punch a
Asperger.
That's right. You can't.
You can't.
Guys, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.